Hello and welcome back to episode 4, Pilates with Marilyn Harder. Hello, and I am Marilyn Harder. Body. Always know you can go back to previous episodes to find foundations and alternate body positions for anything that does not feel good and right to your body. Remember, if it's sharp, stabbing, or shooting, that's your signal to stop. All right, today we are going to work on our shoulder connections and shoulder mobility. So just like we did last episode, I want you to find the foundation of your feet in the floor. So big toe to pinky toe side, center of the heel. Let's spread those toes out wide, lift them up, and try and root your feet down into the floor. As you root those 3 points into both feet, I want you to feel the crown of your head lengthen up towards the sky. And now let's gently relax those toes down, finding that solid foundation. If you tend to lock out those knees, soften the knees just a bit so you can feel the co-contraction of the hamstring with the front of the leg of the quadricep. Okay, let's go ahead and take those arms out to a T. And I want you to notice the difference of when you relax those arms, everything sort of releases down at the bottom. That is not a co-contraction. See if you can roll the back of that armpit forward and notice how the arm activates. That's where I want you to feel that work. So let's take our big inhale in, flipping those palms in up towards the sky. And exhale, blow out all that air. All the way till that last birthday candle goes out. And you feel that tightening around your midsection, transverse abdominis. Let's breathe again. Big inhale in, palms up. And exhale, flip the palms, blow out all that air. Feel that corset connect around that midsection. One more. And exhale. Blow out all that air until nothing's left. All right, let's take those arms out to a T. Palms flip down to the floor. And let's flip the palms up towards the ceiling, feeling those shoulder blades draw back and down. Pull that rib cage in against the shoulder blades. And then flip those palms back down. Good. We're mobilizing that shoulder. Now, if you feel this load into your neck, make sure that that chin is not drawn forward. Draw it back and up. And as you flip palm up and palm down, you can always take those arms a little lower. Take that load off of your neck and your upper shoulder. Remember, it's about connections. Not doing it exactly the way I do it, but the way that feels right to your body. We'll go ahead and go one more. Palms up. You should feel the hugging of the shoulder blades back and down your spine. And remember, exhale, pull that rib cage in against the shoulder blades. Soften those arms and bring the elbows in towards your body just a bit. And it should feel like you're trying to hug or hold something in the back of that armpit. Imagine you have 500 pounds in each of the hands. And I want you to lift up those heavy boxes up towards the ceiling. Pause, flip the palms down, and now you're pushing down really heavy springs like a jack in the box that's trying to pop up. And then flip the palms. We're going to lift up 500-pound weights. Keep the neck free. If you feel things in your neck, look over to one shoulder and look over to the other. We're resisting the movement within our own bodies and finding the co-contraction of biceps against triceps, shoulders against our lats, or those muscles down your back. We'll go one more. And then press down all the way down to the bottom. Give your shoulders a little roll, up, back, and down. Good. Step our feet out into the wide second position from episode 3, making sure that the feet are open in the V. Roll the knees open so that way the knees point towards that second toe, and soften down into that imaginary chair. If it's painful, step out a little bit wider, or watch the tracking of the toes to the knees. All right, keeping our hands on our waist, I want you to inhale to grow tall. Exhale, sink down 2 inches. Inhale, slide it up. Draw the heels towards each other to activate the inner thighs and sink down 2 inches. We're giving our shoulders a little bit of a break, our neck a break if anything built up, while we work and activate that lower half. We'll go ahead and go 2 more. My right knee wants to wobble in, so I'm really trying to wrap it back. And last one. And we're going to sink down into that chair and hold. If you need to come up, and then sink down when it's right for you. Now, I'm going to hold an imaginary tray into my arms, hugging a $100 bill into the back of that armpit. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap that tray forward, but I'm not letting my shoulders follow. So pinky to pinky, and then I'm going to hitchhike open backwards, feeling the back of that armpit really hug. And then roll that tray in forward, like someone's pressing into the inside of my hand. I'm resisting it in. And then someone's pressing out into the outside of my hand, and I'm resisting it open. Good. Try and create this resistance. If this feels odd to you, you can always grab like a TheraBand or something with a little bit of resistance to create that for you. So your glutes should be on, which is your buns, your seat. We'll go 1 more. And it shouldn't be burning just in the top of that leg. And stand it on up. Good, give those shoulders a good roll. Let's mobilize the spine. Sink down into that imaginary chair. Take those arms out to a T. Wrap the back of that armpit forward. As you kind of drop the back of that armpit down, try and activate the back of that arm. Pull the ribs in. And we're going to rotate. Remember from last time, press the knees open. Exhale, rotate. Center of the sternum towards the hip, but don't let the knee follow. And center. And exhale, rotate. And inhale, center. We'll go 1 more each way. Exhale, rotate. Inhale, center. 1 more. Remember, you can fold the arms in if you feel any load into the neck. And stand it on up. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring our legs into a smaller V. So I'm just going to keep a grapefruit distance in between my heels, and it's a baby V. So not a big old turnout, but a tiny baby V, just slightly externally rotated. And I'm going to try and find my glutes, wrap them open, knee towards the toe. Taking my right hand up, left hand down. I'm going to inhale, grow taller on the right side. And exhale, slide the left hand down my thigh. Pause, take a good deep breath into that side body. 1 more good deep breath. Stack back up nice and tall. All right, right hand down, left hand up. Inhale, grow taller through the left side. Exhale, slide the right hand down by your thigh. Take a really good inhale and exhale there. Good, last one. And let's go ahead and come back up to center. All right, we're going to do a little bit more mobility with your shoulders, toes in front of heels. Okay, we're going to be circling or sweeping the arms up. Roll the palms facing forward. We're going to take a big inhale in, sweeping those arms up and over. And exhale, open it up. Shoulders slide down your back, open or lift that center of the chest, the heart center up. And then reset back neutral. So from the side, my lower half is going to stay neutral. Sweeping those arms up and over. And exhale, slide the shoulder blades back. Lifting that heart. And drawing it back to center. All right, I have a chair out in front of me. And we're going to roll down into a partial plank. You can do this higher on a wall or come down into the chair. So we're going to take those arms up and over. Roll the back of that armpit forward. That helps hug that shoulder blade down the back. And we're going to hinge. Soften your knees, flatten your back. Bring those hands down towards the chair. And then you're going to lengthen the legs forward till the shoulder is right up over your hands. Let's step the feet back one at a time. You want to press into the pinky side of the hand. This is already a fairly challenging plank, so if this is too much for your body, take the hands up to the wall and make a higher plank here at this angle. So something a little less intense. All right, in this plank, I want you to think about really squeezing your seat. Find your glutes, hug the back of that armpit towards the hips, press to the pinky side of the hand, and make sure your ribs are drawn in against your shoulder blades. I should gaze at the other end of that chair. And let's go ahead and pike our hips up, sinking our body weight back. Take a good deep breath. And exhale, hug the back of that armpit down towards your hips, lengthening it out, eyes gaze forward. And let's do that again. Pike the hips up. Pay attention to your toes. Are you pressing into the second toe, or are you flailing out to the side? Engage the glutes, lower it back down, press into the pinky side of those hands, and make sure you're not arching or swaying through the back. Pull everything in, press the hip bones or pubic bone forward. And let's go ahead and pike those hips up, walk your feet forward, get them underneath you, soften those knees. Let's bend one knee and straighten the other leg, getting a really good stretch down through the low back. Now, if that's enough for you today, that's where you're going to stay. And then rotate the other side. Otherwise, we're going to add in some tricep work. If you feel pressure in your neck, your jaw, or your shoulders, chances are you're not connecting down the back, and we'll want to do some mid-back resistance work to build that up. All right, hands are back onto the chair. Pull the ribs in. Back of that armpit hugs down towards your hips, and let's step those feet back one at a time, finding that connection to space. Okay, now we're going into some tricep push-ups, which means that the elbows are going to wrap towards your hips rather than wide. And you're going to bend through the elbows, keeping those arms nice and narrow, and press it away. Seat is on, abs are in, shoulder blades against rib cage, bend through that elbow, press it away. We've got one more. This is going to be it today. We're going to build upon this as we move forward. All right, sink those hips back, walk your feet forward, take a little wider stance there, hinge down, wrap your hands into your elbows, let your head hang. Take a good deep breath into the back side of the rib cage. Slowly sway to the left. Slowly sway to the right. Come back to center. Soften those knees. If you need to hinge up, press on those thighs and stand up. Otherwise, you can articulate or roll back up to standing. All right, let's go ahead and make our way down to the floor, any which way that is right for your body. I will start layering in what we call our Pilates sit. So as you get stronger, you can work towards it. The goal is to get all the way down to the floor without plopping or using your hands. So I'm going to start with a nice wide second position. So that was our wide straddle. And the goal is to sit my butt all the way down to the floor. Press those knees open. Joseph Pilates said the ultimate goal within your Pilates practice is to be able to get up and down from the floor without using your hands. Eventually, we're going to take that to a nice tight parallel, but in a wide second, it's more accessible. All right, let's go ahead and lengthen our legs out towards the chair. And we're going to start with our roll downs here. Remember, if you have osteoporosis or disc issues, you would hinge, part way, and pause. Let's do that together. So I want you to narrow the sits bones, grow tall through the crown of your head, shoulders back and down. We're going to exhale and we're going to hinge it back to about 45. You should feel your abdominals tighten on that exhale, your seat supporting you from behind, chin draws in, and exhale, stack back up nice and tall. If you need to, you can bend those knees. You can always have a seat on the chair. All right, we're going to do that one more time, then progress to articulation. Inhale, grow taller. Exhale, hinge back. Pause when you feel the abdominals kick on, but not feeling any pressure through your low back or your neck. Let's go ahead and take one more good deep breath there. And exhale, stack back up nice and tall. Stay there if you have osteoporosis or disc issues. Otherwise, we're going to draw in through the belly button. Remember that bowling ball that came at our core last week? We're articulating through that. So we're bracing the core, abs against glutes, point the toes away, and slowly melt that spine down. One vertebrae at a time till we're down at the bottom. Remember, you can always tuck those towels underneath the low back or your fingertips if you get stuck, or the legs float up. Inhale there at the bottom. Exhale, chest lift up, roll along the curvature of that mid back. Try and draw in those abdominals, push through the hands if you need it, and continue to dive forward towards that chair. Good. We're going to inhale, lengthen through that spine, lengthen through the crown of your head, and draw that belly button backwards. Drawing yourself back slowly. You want your toes reaching one direction, heels digging down to the floor, abdominals against your glutes, and you're trying to go as slow as you can possibly go. Good. You can tuck those hands back under if you need it. Otherwise, hands float up over your head, shoulders draw back and down. Back of that armpit shines up towards the sky. Chest lift up. Roll and round it up. Try and lengthen and lift through the crown of your head. Diving it forward. And stack back up. All right, last one. We're going to make our way to the floor and stay there. Inhale to grow taller. Exhale, draw down through that belly button. Slowly roll it down. One vertebrae at a time until we make our way all the way down to the floor. Let's take those hands, tuck them underneath our tailbone into a little diamond. If that's not comfortable for your body, you can put a towel there instead. And that will roll us into an imprint. Take a moment, exhale, feel the wrapping of the core, draw those knees up into a tabletop position. All right, we're going into a single leg stretch, so we're going to extend one leg, and I want you to just to notice how the core connects, and I want you to go as low as you can go. And remember, we want that leg to float. We want to feel like it's floating there versus we're struggling to keep it there. And then draw it on in and switch. So we want shoulder blades against rib cage, abdominals drawn in and down, and draw it back in. Perfect. Let's go one more set. If you want to progress this, you take your hands out from underneath your low back, and you can also pull one knee in or the other. Last one. I find staying here, though, I really get a deep focus of my low obliques in the forced imprint. Good. All right, let's go ahead and pull those hands out. Place those hands above the shins, and we're going to do that again, this time into the chest lift. Hands on top of those shins, chest lift up. Deep neck flexors. If it's right for you, do a second set just as we did before. Extend one leg, find that same imprint. Feel that leg where it floats. Pull the knee in towards the nose, and then switch. Find that float. Slower is harder. Find that resistance and switch. And switch. One more each way. And last one. Draw those knees in, set the head down, and let's look from left to right. All right, hanging on to those shins, we're going to rock ourselves up to a seated position and roll over to one side. I want my head towards the chair to begin and find a nice long lengthened position. So we can go all the way down onto the floor like we've done in previous weeks, or if you're ready, we can start progressing up to a side plank position. So I'm going to walk you into this. Make sure that armpit is rolling forward, the back of that armpit, feeling that shoulder blade hug down your back. Rib cage is pulled in against shoulder blades, and those hips are down, slipped away. Bottom leg can stay bent, or you can extend it for a little bit more of a balance challenge. And I want you to really think about lengthening the crown of the head in line with that tailbone. If your neck starts to bother, look down towards the floor. All right, shoulders are open and square. I like to really reach that arm up and find that squared space. And we're going into that lift and lower. Now, if you're not quite here in your progression, you can make it all the way back down to the floor, and you're going to have a little bit more range of motion. So you choose what's right for your body today. Remember, we always want to lengthen in 2 directions, and the goal is to feel it in that glute med. You may think, oh, you do a lot of these. And it is because this is the most important muscle to my body in keeping my knee happy and tracking, to keep my hip happy, and also to keep work out of my low back. So it really is what I like to call my magic muscle. If there's one thing that I think everybody in the world needs, it's more glute med. We'll go ahead and go 3 more. Tiny. 2 and 1. Let's bend that knee in, bring those feet together, go into that clamp. And remember, the clamp is the lift and lower of that top leg. If you're in the lifted position and you think, ooh, I've hit my fatigue for today, I'm feeling it in my neck, or I'm sinking into my shoulder, or I'm dipping into my hip, make your way down to the floor and just know that this is building endurance in the plank lines. So once you get better at planks, this becomes more available. Good. Oh, my hip had rolled. And let's look down to the floor if your neck bothers you. We've got 3 more. And I can feel that shoulders start to shake and quake, which is amazing. Last one. This in itself really builds those shoulders muscles, all of that pretty engagement and endurance. Hello, wind. And let's hold it up there. Tiny little pulses at the top. That was nice. The wind just blew and my sheets gave me a nice little hug from behind. And we'll go 4 and 3, 2 and 1. Beautiful. Let's lay that down, roll over onto our back, and go into a little bit more ab work. All right, palms flip up towards the ceiling, shoulders are back and down. We are going to combine a chest lift with the bridge. So I want you to go ahead and inhale there. If you need to support your head, just bring your right hand behind your head. Otherwise, you can leave both hands out. And we're going to chest lift up. Reach the left hand out and towards you. Feel that deep imprint. Hold it there. Big inhale there. Come up 1 more inch on the exhale. And then I want you to slowly roll it down. 1 vertebrae at a time. Down to the bottom. Then articulate through the spine. Curl the tailbone under. Engage the glutes. Press through the tripod of the feet. Find that lifting sensation as the knees reach away, the heels pull towards your glutes, and you roll up that spine like a string of pearls. And then exhale, like your spine is a piece of Velcro, you start to pull down from that rib cage. Heels are actively pulling through to your glutes, and you roll down 1 vertebrae at a time, wrapping the left hand behind our head. Chest lift up. Eyes gaze towards those thighs. Take an inhale there. Exhale, come up 1 more inch. And then slowly articulate it down. Once that head hits, we're going to curl through the tailbone using the abdominals. Engage the glutes. Press through the tripods of both feet. Roll it on up. 1 vertebrae at a time. Pause. Heels pull in towards your glutes. Now notice, do both sides of your feet feel equally active? Inside arch versus outside arch. Even them. Notice if your knees had to shift or change. And curl down through that rib cage. 1 vertebrae at a time till we're down at the bottom. Support the head if you need to. Chest lift up. Eyes gaze towards those thighs. Big inhale there. Exhale, come up 1 more inch. And then slowly articulate it down. This time take those hands up and over. Pause when they're about 45 degrees. If you need them on the floor, you need them on the floor. Exhale, curl through the tailbone. Roll and round it up to the top. Knees shoot forward. Pubic bone presses forward. Shoulders back and down. Heels towards those buns. And slowly roll it back down. All the way down to the bottom. Pull those knees into your chest. Give yourself a little stretch, maybe a little circles of the shins on the ceiling or into the sky. We're going to hang on to those shins, rock up to a seated position. Let's spin around, evening out the other side. So remember, you can be in that lifted position. If you are, make sure the back of that armpit rolls forward to activate the shoulder blade down your back. Ribs are lifted, top hip is down slipped. Extend that top leg. I like to square up the shoulders, check with my hips, and then go in for that lift and lower. This is my more fun side today. Seems to be different every time that I do it. Keep going. If you need to look down towards the floor, look down towards the floor. And if this body position is not yet in your practice, go ahead and lay back down all the way to the floor. Or when you feel like it's shifting into your neck or you're having a hard time pressing through the floor and out of your shoulder. Good. And we'll go ahead and do a few more. Ooh, I realized I was cheating. My leg was starting to float forward. It should be all the way in line with your body. And we'll go for 3. Hips are escaping. 2 and 1. Good. Go ahead and bend that knee in. Reset. Really press everything away. Chin draws in. It helps take pressure off the neck. And let's lift and lower. Find that clam position. Clams are my favorite. Everybody can do more clams. Now, if side lying is not for you, you can always buy a TheraBand, which is like a rubber tie. You can tie around your thighs, lay on your back, and press open against that TheraBand to work that same gluteus medius. So just know if things aren't feeling right on the side, you can work it out that way. If you have a painful greater trochanter, which is when you're lying on your side and you feel a lot of pain and pressure and you want to come off of it, it's generally a tight IT band. It's the body trying to stabilize the knee. So doing more of these will help with alignment and connection, and that to need not as tight. Okay, last one, hold it up at the top. Really try and square out. Little hip click for me there, tiny little pulses. Fun fact, 1 click is fine, 1 crack is fine, but if it repetitively clicks or cracks, it's not tracking, meaning we're out of alignment, things aren't squared up, we're not in the right muscles, and we should stop, reset, and try and find that right alignment. We'll go for 3, 2, and 1. Good, go ahead and rest it on down. All right, this is our natural stopping point for today. If you want to stop and stretch, go for it. Otherwise, we're going to come into a quadruped position, which means on our all fours. So if you have any wrist issues here, you can fold that mat in towards you and add a little bit of a lift, so that way your wrist is kind of at an angle versus flexed. So it decreases the pressure on the wrist. Also, you can press into the pinky side palm of your hand called the carpal arch to help activate and roll that back of that armpit forward, which will support the wrist joint. All right, I want you to give yourself a double chin. Knees are underneath hips. Don't let yourself sag like a mirror. You want to lengthen crown of the head. Tailbone reaches to the chair behind you. Crown of the head forward. And we're going to take your right hand and tap your left shoulder and set it down. Left hand, tap your right shoulder. Set it down. I'm just going to swivel towards the camera. And I want you to just continue to move. So as we're tapping, I want you to try and stay squared off. We want to try and stay open. And if you feel any shifting in your hips or kind of rounding up through the shoulders, try and even that out. We're connecting all of our muscles here. And we'll go ahead and go last one. All right, shifting your weight to your hands. I want you to think about engaging your right glute and extend your left leg out behind you. I'm still tapped down and I want it to stay square. Notice how your right arm gets loaded just a bit more. Sorry, whatever leg is back, your same arm gets loaded a little bit more. Really make sure you're hugging that back of that armpit forward. And I want you to engage the glute and just float that leg up without arching through our back. So it comes from the hip extension not from the movement of the pelvis. Good. We'll go 3 more. If you're already dying on your wrists, just know that you can switch to the other side. Just do 3 and 3 versus 6 and 6. And last one. Bring it on in. Let's extend the other leg. All right, once that leg is extended, you feel that same arm load, shoulder draws back and down, and engage through that glute, open the hip, float that leg up. Try not to let your spine change. Try not to let your hips roll. Now, the second time you watch this, or the third time you watch this, think about creating opposite connections. You can float that opposite arm up, and then it floats up with a shoulder extension at the same time as that leg lifts. And if you're like, what does extension mean? It just means opening. We've got 2 more. So we're opening the hip, opening the shoulder. Last one. And then let's bring it on in. Take a nice wide knee position. Sink back, and let's breathe into our back body. Walk your hands over to the right side and take a good deep breath into that rib cage. We're coming off those wrists a bit. And walk your hands over to the other side. Take a nice good deep breath. Come back to center and swivel around to a seated position. All right, we're gonna go ahead and finish off with a little bit more ab work here in the seated position before we stretch. Hands come on top of the shins, shoulders roll back and down. The back of that armpit sort of rolls forward, rib cage pulls in. And I want you to really pull the hands into the shins. Now lighten the feet on the floor and start to kind of tiptoe back a little bit. And you should find this natural balance position between your sits bones and tailbone. And it's sounding like a tripod, and I'm still pressing into my shins. My shins are pressing into my hands. I'm finding that connection, and I'm just gonna extend one leg off the floor. If you need to move your hand behind the leg, you can, and tap it down. And then the other. The goal is to keep the work into the deep lower abdominals and behind the shoulder blades. We're preparing our body for eventually progressing to teaser. And if you're wondering what teaser is, it's when we're floating here, arms extend, full legs fully extend, and we hold and articulate through. Woo, my body was not ready for that. And then we'll go ahead and go 1 more each way. With my scoliosis, I love teaser, but I have to get it into it the right way. All right, let's restack it back up nice and tall. Now, if you felt anything that built up in your low back, go ahead and have a seat in the chair. The elevation takes pressure off, and you can go into the hinge from last week. All right, shoulders roll back and down. Grow tall through the crown of your head. Hinge back. We're going to tiptoe those toes forward. This is the full progression. Wrap those hands behind the leg and the other. Lock your lats down your back by rolling that armpit forward. And let's float one leg up to a tabletop, then the other. Imagine you're floating a ball on top of your shins. Better yet, grab a ball, float it on top of your chins. Take that challenge. And then if this feels okay, stay here. If it doesn't, go back to the last progression or up to the chair. And if you'd like to take it one step further, extend one leg up. That was the part that I wasn't ready for. Bring it on in. And extend the other. So your teaser is a function of all of your muscles, and I'm shaking like crazy, along with your flexibility. So everyone's teaser is going to look a little different based on their body's length, size, and flexibility and strength. And let's restack it back up nice and tall. All right, it's time to stretch things out. Great job today, guys. If you feel like you need to lay down because something built up in the low back, you can lay down into a figure 4 stretch. Otherwise, we're going to take our legs out into a nice wide straddle, knees and toes up towards the ceiling. Grow tall through the crown of your head. And we're going to curl down through the chin. So for the most part, I just want you to stay curious about your body. Your body is your best intuitive teacher. Your body will tell you when things are connecting and when things are not connecting. So when you're feeling different awareness, I guess is probably the best way to say, awareness is not a bad thing. If you feel awareness of shaking or awareness of fatigue, that just means the endurance or how long that muscle can contract is not quite at that point in your practice. And it means just keep practicing. And let's walk your hands over towards one side. Let's lengthen through the crown of your head and stretch down that hamstring. Now, if you feel awareness in that, I'm noticing I'm really sore later, but not good sore muscle sore, but like yucky sore, like I may have pulled something, or we're going to walk over towards that right leg. So awareness in discomfort or pain is not something we want to continue to work through. So if you're feeling a lot of discomfort into probably the most common complaint, let's walk our way to the other side, is into the base of the skull. That is a function of the strength of the deep neck flexors. So always be sure to draw that double chin and maybe take a break on chest lifting and just really focus on those deep neck flexors with that head down. Your practice is your practice, and it's called a practice because we're not instantly good at it. It's about learning your body, engaging on what is right for you, and continuing to build upon that. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Check us out, Corporate Hippie Connection, and you have a wonderful rest of your day.